Hi, today I'm going to be talking about the novel Lunar Park by Bret Easton Ellis, written in 2005. The plot of Bret Easton Ellis's novel Lunar Park is the author Bret Easton Ellis moves to the suburbs, gets married, and has a son and a stepdaughter, and tries to live the American dream. Let's talk A story, B story. In university, lots of times in classes, especially screenwriting classes, uh, teachers were obsessed with talking about A story and B story and finding them in the stories that we talked about. Example of this in the novel is Bret Easton Ellis, the real life author, moves to the suburbs, gets married to Jane, um, a fictional wife, has a stepdaughter and a son who's his actual son in the novel. He has a routine life that is very much like a John Cheever novel or a John Updike novel, where there's alcoholism and adultery in the suburbs. The neighbors play these domestic roles. They are routine and automatic. And Bret Easton Ellis uses these suburban roles. He shows that people just take for granted their subversive roles in the suburbs and doesn't focus too much on them. All the husbands in the novel are having affairs. All the husbands in the novels are wanting to have an affair. The women may have drug problems. All the husbands may be alcoholics. There are all these things in the novel. It is not unique like in some of the suburban novels of the past. Metafictional, horror filled narrative that is a very much of a Stephen King esque homage to horror and a ghost story, and in this case, actually a demon story within this novel. It is the second part of the novel. Young, he loved Stephen King very much and said that he was a kid and loved it very much. In the B story, we see Patrick Bateman appearing in the novel first at a Halloween party, and then throughout the novel, using Bret Easton Ellis's use of characters from his other novels, from American Psycho, show how the weight of American Psycho played on his weight as an author in real life, from people who protested the novel and found the violence in American Psycho to be too gratuitous and too over the top, and wanted to protest the novel like the National Organization of Women did. It has metafictional meta art. It is a work within a work. American Psycho is within the novel of Lunar Park. It is Bret Easton Ellis's work within Bret Easton Ellis's work. It is a manuscript that he is writing within the manuscript of Lunar Park. It is very much like a metafictional painting, a meta art painting, like a painting such as I think it's called The Art of a Painting by Vermeer, a painting of an artist painting the painting that you're viewing as someone viewing the art. It's art that is reflecting itself. One thing we need to remember with this novel is that it was written in 2005, which is right after 9/11. It's a post 9/11 paranoia novel. In the novel, places like Walmart are being destroyed by terrorists. It's very poignant and shows acts of violence that are happening even today, even though it was written 20 years ago. Ellis writes about a world where first graders are given the novel Lord of the Flies as a reading assignment, and that all the kids are given Ritalin and other drugs and prescribed drugs, and that every kid in the suburbs are expected to be the best at everything that they do. Boys go missing, and seemingly all the children are medicated. In the communities of parents want a return on their investment of their children. They want their children to excel academically and in sports and culture. And in this book represents the impact of American Psycho and how it's haunting the real Bret Easton Ellis in real life, and how the writing of the book American Psycho affected the actual Bret Easton Ellis. I know this sounds confusing, but when Bret Easton Ellis wrote American Psycho, he said that the 3 years he wrote the novel in New York City, he almost felt possessed by the character of Patrick Bateman. It was almost as if the character was forcing him to write this wicked book. In the book, there's a character, uh, a small doll of a small bird named a Turby, very much like a Furby, that haunts and terrorizes Bret Easton Ellis and drives him absolutely insane in this book. And it's absolutely hilarious and creepy and crazy and disturbing. This is the only Bret Easton Ellis book I've ever read that was in the first person past tense narrative. It's first person present tense that is a classic Bret Easton Ellis writing form. It is an unreliable narrator like a lot of the narrators Ellis writes. We are unsure what the Bret Easton Ellis of the character in the book and the actual author of the book feels. The style and tone are different from anything Ellis has ever written, but is still in the minimalistic style that we have known and loved. It is a well-crafted novel. This novel is really well written, but I would say it's more for the Bret Easton Ellis lovers and the completists and the die-hard fans. And it's not something I would start with if I hadn't read Ellis before. I would start with Less Than Zero or American Psycho or even The Shards. I would not start with Lunar Park or Glamorama. This book deals with a lot of themes, but I think the main theme is fatherhood, sons and fathers, and abuse, and the idea of what uh, can go on between the fathers and sons and the influence they have on your life growing up, and what it's like to be a boy becoming a man, and your father's expectations. In this book there are boys that keep going away in the society, and they're lost boys, and they are lost boys, and they're all young and about 11 years old, the age of Bret Easton Ellis's sons. And this is like the Lost Boys of Neverland in Peter Pan. Give anything away, but the end of the book, it's there's a really powerful scene where Bret Easton Ellis is going to a bank where he is retrieving the ashes of his father, and then he comes across his son at a McDonald's, and he's having a conversation with his son at the middle of the night with his father's ashes and speaking to his son, and it's a very powerful scene. A ghost story in two different ways. American Psycho is a ghost story of American Psycho, and his is the ghost story of American Psycho, and is the story of his personal ghost, Bret Easton Ellis' father, who died in life. Bret Easton Ellis redeems himself writing American Psycho as Patrick Bateman possessed him in his years writing American Psycho. During the course of this novel, there are a string of murders that are linked to the novel American Psycho. Someone is recreating the deaths from from someone is recreating the murders from the book American Psycho, or the real life Patrick Bateman is actually killing people. And Bret Easton Ellis must come to terms with the fact that his work is influencing actual violence. Overall, I would recommend this book only to the people who have read everything else by Ellis and want to read all of his work. It's a very well written novel, and I love his style, but I think it's a little bit lacking in the narrative overall, and it doesn't seem completely necessary. But I did enjoy the book quite a bit. I would say it's terrifying at times and creepy, and it's actually hilarious and really funny at times as well. I would give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Happy reading.